podcast where three of the Okayest Youth Ministers talk about youth ministry. I'm Michael Deason. This is Jeremy Crow and Under the Bucket.
Somebody came back from the beach a little bit fired up.
Yeah.
Going a little fast.
And not a bit more tan.
No. Did you take care of that sunscreen? Did you really put it on?
I really put it on.
Do you stay in a shirt the whole time? Are you shirt beach dad?
I think I did this time. Yeah.
I
just didn't really have any. I didn't go out in the water. So.
Do you think that this year, because of Hunter's post marathon slash what is it, triathlon body,
the salty dog?
Do you think that he goes Speedo this year, or just no shirt?
No,
just no shirt.
No, we're not doing Speedo.
He's looking good. He's feeling good.
First of all, I don't think my wife would let me go Speedo. Second of all, I will not go Speedo.
Yeah,
she would.
Well, I guess we know our first cut of the episode.
No, we're not cutting it.
No.
We're back.
She doesn't listen to it. It's okay.
We're back. A 2 week hiatus, maybe.
No, just one.
Just 1 week hiatus.
But we've done it a handful of times.
We did a 2 weeks hiatus, and then we did 1 week, and then we didn't do last week. And then we're doing
so for our listeners, we are sorry. We're going to try and get back to it. It's just been busy, and we haven't really had anything pre-recorded here recently either. But we are starting a new series today.
Well, Nolan Eccles did ask me when his episode from M2I, no, not M2I, from EYC was going to air. Did it already air?
It already aired.
Okay.
Did we already post it?
I'm pretty positive.
Are we sure?
Wait,
we might have some content.
Because Caleb hasn't sent us the video.
Well, Caleb said that he did a pretty cool intro for it too, so I'm interested to see what that is.
That's going to be good. Caleb, unchecked with his AI and all of his graphic skills, can get crazy.
Yeah, very talented too.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been listening to after our outro, we've been playing some songs created by Caleb, and they've gotten pretty emo lately.
They're what I might call a bop.
Yes.
Yeah.
They slap.
Young kids, fellow children.
Fellow children. Anyway, so we're going to get started. We're starting a new series today. We're calling it Youth Ministry Mythbusters.
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever actually came up with the title. We just kind of came up with it.
I think we just Mythbusters.
Mythbusters?
Myths.
In the
beginning, there was a myth, and it was busted. That's the series title.
That's true.
So we're going to look at a handful of different myths about youth ministry over the next handful of weeks. We're not really sure how long this series is going to go, but our first myth for this week is if you're not growing numerically, you're failing.
That's actually not a myth. That's true, and you can go ahead and run the outro music.
All right.
No, okay. It's not true.
Oh, I thought you were...
It's not true.
My bad.
It's a myth. If you're not growing numerically, you're failing.
So, what's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard in with this thought? Because I've got a really great one.
Okay. Kick us off then.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Kick us off.
Okay. We're sure.
We're 100% positive.
Dude, you're steaming from the beach. You just come on with it.
I did a youth group devotional one time, and we had probably the youth group total was probably about 25 at the church that I was working at, and we had probably 15 kids that were there. And one of the elders in a meeting, they said, "How'd the do?" I said, "It went really good. We have 15 people," and they said, "And you spent this much money?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's about right, And they said, "We don't think that the return on our investment was worth it."
Oof.
On that. And I said, "Okay, so what do you mean?" And he said, "You only had 15 kids there. Why did you only have 15 kids there?" I was like,
out of 25?
Out of 25, it's more than half of our group was there.
Yeah.
So I would say that's pretty good.
So that's killing it.
Like that's doing pretty good. And he said, "Well, we need to get the numbers up. We need to get all 25 there. And you need to do something to get all 25 of those kids at a devotional or whatever." He's like, "When's the last time you had every kid at something?" And I said, "Never.
Never.
Never.
Not
never
once.
had every kid at something."
And it won't happen.
And he said, "Well, then you're not doing your job until you get every kid there. It's like, okay, well, what do I need to do? You know,
he sounds like a really.
This is what he said. He said, why do you think the people in the Bible counted everybody and kept up with numbers?
What?
Why do you think everybody, like in the Bible, more than 3,000 of them were saved? And then, you know, they've got numbers all over the place throughout. Why did they keep numbers?
We had 15 at the event.
And he said, if numbers didn't matter, then why would the people in the Bible keep up with numbers?
That's dumb.
Yeah.
And I
hope he listens to our podcast, and I want to.
And he left that church shortly after.
And then I said, about 2 weeks later, I said, I'm leaving.
This is it now. I'm
moving to Arkansas. So that was one of the things that was told to me, and he was being serious. I don't.
Well, what's the danger in that, though? I mean, what's the danger in when you are so driven towards measuring success by numbers?
There's so many obstacles that come in that way. And I'll use just one for an example. I had an older lady a couple of years ago. She asked what happened to the youth group. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, there's not as many of them anymore. And I got to explain to her, well, the reason behind that is because the past 2 years, we've graduated 15 seniors and 11 seniors. Well, we lost 26 kids in 2 years, and we haven't had 26 new sixth graders.
Right.
Because that's just a weirdly big
and
class.
It's just odd things. So there are a lot of driving factors that come into that. A lot of it too. You know, depending on your church, depending on the parents, there's a lot of things that go into the size of your youth group and the year-to-year things as well. We just had a discussion yesterday on why we don't have as many young men leading lads leaders. Because we don't have as many young men that are baptized at this moment. We've graduated a lot lately, and we just have a ton of sixth graders that are coming in that haven't been baptized yet. So it's just the dynamic of your youth group at that time, and it's okay that it changes. And it should change. I don't think every year you're going to graduate the exact same number as the kids that come into the youth group itself.
It's going to vary up and down all the time.
Well, statistically, Sticky Faith was one of the ones that really brought this up. And they said more or less the way that we've been doing youth ministry has not been the right way. And I mean, if we wanted big numbers, I could get numbers. You know,
Yeah.
I can just do a free event. We can do iPad giveaways, and I mean, we can go nuts.
I might show up for that one.
And I could do all kinds of stuff and get a bunch of people
Lincoln
here.
would show up for that iPad giveaway.
He would probably cry because he didn't get it.
Yeah.
That was not good.
That was the worst moment of your life.
I felt so bad about that. But anyways, we can do all that, and I can get people there. But unless you're doing something that's going to help the people that are there, then what you're doing is just completely pointless and in vain.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what youth ministry used to be. You know, late 80s, early 90s youth ministry was just have concerts and
Pizza,
have
Mountain Dew, and
all
concert.
this, all the, and have all the kids come and do all the things, and then.
Well, it's funny you say that because that was such an unhealthy time of youth ministry.
Yeah.
And then you get to now where we're not as concerned about numbers. We're more, what we've talked about a lot, the quality of it, the substance behind it. And now it's a lot healthier, though the numbers might not be there because we're not giving out free iPads or giving away free weeks to Disney or whatever
exactly.
it might be. But the culture's changed that.
That's
and the
what
culture,
they used to do, man.
Well, and the culture's really looked at it in a lot of different ways. And we reference one of these as the conference culture. Healthy things grow. If you're looking at conferences, you want the conference to get bigger every single year because that's for some reason that's the idea of like, well, that's a healthy conference. That's something that is worth going to. And in the business world, that's bled over into the religious world. And all of a sudden, if your church is not growing, it's not a healthy congregation.
Yeah.
So I will say though, to go back for just a second, we absolutely are encouraged when there are bigger numbers, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want us to discredit that. Like that does have a psychological impact with our students too, right? We all have experienced the feeling of disheartened feeling or frustration that a teenager feels when they see, for CYC or for Winterfest or for camp or whatever. Oh, we've only got 18 going. Last year we had 23 or last year we had 27, whatever. That feeling of, oh, nobody's going or none of my friends are going, that kind of thing. So kids do get excited when numbers are up, for sure. An example of that was when I worked at Hebron. We had this is a long time ago.
I'm from Hebron.
This is a long time ago. When we worked at Hebron,
We need to
no way back.
Yeah, we need
machine.
to do the Wayback Machine.
It's not the Wayback Machine.
I've got a bomb strapped to my.
I knew which button that was. I knew which button was coming.
Shout out Sam Umstead.
So when I was at Hebron, we had a classroom that really could accommodate about 18-ish chairs, maybe 20, if we
Is that in the
squeeze them in.
basement?
Okay, yeah. And so we were consistently having around 12 to 15 students show up on a Wednesday night, which was really good for the size congregation at the time. And what I would do is put out about 10 to 12 chairs. And then if we needed extra chairs, we'd pull them out of the closet and, put out some more chairs. And so if we had 15 that previous week, the next week, I would not leave 15 chairs out. I would put those 3 chairs back in the closet because there was something psychologically reinforcing to our students when they go, oh man, we had to get more chairs out. Mm-hmm. They don't know it's the same 3 chairs we got out last week, but there's something exciting about when the numbers are up. Okay. And so we get that. We understand that people kind of get discouraged when they think numbers are down because that seems like we're not growing or we're not doing well, but that's not really true, right? Substance matters.
Well, and we see how dangerous it is too to look at it from a numerical standpoint. The burnout that comes from that. You're always chasing these events, these big nights over the relationships. We kind of talked about that. You're looking for these numbers instead of just the quality of the quality of the lessons, the quality of the people there, things on those lines. But then even more into that, this temptation or this idea to water down the lesson, kind of what Michael was mentioning earlier of just kind of changing the lesson based on what's happening around them, to water it down, to make it more inviting for everybody, offering different things. And it goes away from your ministry into more of a worldly ministry, we'll say, to where we're just trying to get people in the door to make ourselves look better.
Have you ever worked at a church that had a program like that?
What do you mean?
Like where they just had, hey, just come, we're going to do all this stuff. I went to,
I've only ever been at Flint, so I don't.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I've been very blessed.
Yeah, your interns were only. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, there was just it's frustrating because I've experienced that and they just, it was crazy. I went and helped with this big ministry event that we had, and I was speaking at it, and they had somebody come and do the singing. And when I got there, legitimately, there was probably 40 to 50 people at this thing, which was a huge number for like what this ministry that had just started. And we played disc golf. We played like ultimate frisbee. We did a football game. They had a pool there. We all went swimming. We all did. It was a great little place to go. And then it was like, we said, okay, it's time. So everybody come up here, like to this area. We're gonna have. And we ate and the food was like they had like pork chops and chicken and
where was
burgers and hot dogs. It was at somebody's house. Burgers and hot dogs. It was awesome. And then they were like, okay, everybody, let's gather up and we're gonna do our Devo. And everybody kind of gathered up, and all of a sudden, I was looking around, and we had 12 people there. And that was including me and the family that hosted and the person leading the ministry. So like 4 of us was part of the 12. So there was 8 people that were there. And then I was like, where did everybody go? And they were like, oh, they all just left. And they all got in their cars and just left. And I was like, what are we doing? Like what in the world, And they all, and I like went out to the driveway, and like literally every car they had just left. Like whenever we said it's Devo time, everybody just got in their cars and left. And so I just went ahead and did my Devo for the 8 kids, and we finished up and everybody left and stuff. And then I talked to the guy that hosted it and was like, is this normal? And he was like, yeah, this is how we do it. And about 2 weeks later, he quit helping with the ministry. He told him, hey,
because that's discouraging.
I'm not going to do it anymore.
Well, and you brought up a really good point. You still spoke to the 8 people that were there.
That's right.
So for the youth ministers that are listening to this, when you do have a low number, you still give your 100% to the kids that show up, You don't get discouraged in the time. You don't get discouraged because you made this great plan and you thought that it'd be this, you're the biggest group you ever had show up and only half your group shows up. You still give 100% of what you had planned to those that do show up. Last year, I believe, we tried to do like a Friends Day kind of deal, and everybody was like, oh yeah, I'm bringing friends. I ordered well too much pizza, and we had one visitor show up. And I was like, man, that stinks. Or, you have all these events. We do a Tuesday night together. This past Tuesday night, I didn't have a single kid show up because there were like 4 or 5 different games going on, and just a lot of and a lot of kids were sick. But I still hosted it just in case 1 or 2 kids wanted to show up. Just everybody was just busy or just doing something else. And it wasn't something where you sit there and you pout your head and you say, oh, well, this event's a failure. I mean, we've been doing that for years, and there's been twice in the past 10 years that we've had 0 people show up. So it's just, sometimes it just isn't meant to be. Sometimes people are just busy. Sometimes we mess up as youth ministers and we schedule things
too much
during busy times. And we know, especially like for my situation and for some of Jeremy's kids too, I have a lot of tennis players right now. So if I schedule something during tennis season, I need to make sure that it's not during a tennis match. And if it is, I need to expect that, hey, I'm going to be missing 7 to 10 kids on that one event if I'm doing it at this time. We do a widows and widowers dinner around Valentine's. The only time I could do it was a Thursday afternoon, like Thursday evening. And that Thursday evening, there was a high school soccer game, there was a tennis match, and there was a play or a chorus concert maybe. And that took away 3/4 of my youth group. And I just mainly had 6th graders show up, and they had a great time, and we still enjoyed it and did those things. But you have to also kind of notice when you are picking dates and events and things like that.
So I'll tell you this, my my first time to ever take a group to Maywood Camp. This is before Michael even knew Hebron existed. He wasn't coming there yet. So this is these 2 girls, they're sisters. They were in foster care at the time. Kim and Katie were their names. And they had signed up, decided they wanted to go to Maywood. And I'd really pushed it, trying to get kids to sign up. And nobody signed up except for these 2. Okay, so I took these 2 kids and we went to Maywood Camp. And we had an incredible week. Maywood, it was a great experience for them, all that. But after that, it continued to grow and built. And over time, we ended up with a bunch of kids, chaperones and all that going, just like you would expect with something like Maywood or Uplift. It grows well. But the value in even that first year with just those 2 girls, that were, I think maybe 9th grade and 7th grade or something like that, the value for them going really, really mattered. And I want to say, I think we equate big youth groups, big churches to success. And while those absolutely do indicate successful, things, like last night we went to Madison. Madison's huge, right? They've done some really incredible things.
And a really nice setup too for their like teen area.
A nice area. As we're sitting there, Jackson, one of our guys said, "This is their youth room?" And I said, "Yeah, but you got to realize they're probably 3 times the size of Coleman, right? Like it makes sense that they got this kind of space." But in his mind, this is like a challenging ministry to lead. And he actually said to me, he goes, "Man, he said, would it be hard to like teach this kind of a group?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, maybe, but it's still ministry, right? It's all the same." Mm-hmm. I want to say to our people out there that have 4 kids showing up for class, weekly, and you're in a little small congregation that's really, a small youth group, that work, honestly, sometimes that work was harder than the work that I do now with 60 kids in a roster, right? Yeah. Because you have to be so intentional about those relationships, and you have to work a little harder to make it exciting and all. And so I don't want our small group folks to think, well, because my group is not 20 plus, I'm doing something wrong or I'm failing. Man, you're doing valuable work and you're doing hard work, and it matters. And for those 3, 5, 7, 8 kids, whatever, that are coming to this ministry consistently on a weekly basis, it really matters what you're pouring into them.
Well, and utilize that personal connection too. Jeremy, 50, how many did you say you had on roster?
It's like 63, 64, something like that.
I definitely didn't pay attention to that number. Yeah, 63, 64 on roster. I'm 40. I think we're at like 46 or so. But like you have this smaller roster. have that personal connection with everybody. Be able to really dive into their lives in a way that some of us just don't have that opportunity. Especially when you have that smaller roster and they're all showing up, that's a huge win. And utilizing that time with them, and that is just as important as anything else you do as well.
It's important that when you do have numbers, and even if your numbers were big and then they start to dwindle or whatever, one encouraging thing is 1 Corinthians 3, I planted, Apollos watered, and God gave the growth. This is where the biggest thing is that we are not responsible for the growth, right?
Right.
We are not responsible for. We are responsible for planting and watering, and God is the one that gives the growth. And so when that time comes, we don't stop doing Vacation Bible School things just because we're not seeing that many kids coming to our kids ministry stuff, right? We still do VBS because the community comes there. They drop their kids off or they come to the VBS. And when those kids are there, we are planting seeds and we are watering seeds, and we are giving those seeds a little bit so that they can then grow, And so even when you have kids that are just a bunch of kids that are there, we are still planting seeds and we are still watering the seeds and we are waiting for God to give the increase. And so we are doing everything that we know to do, and it's not our fault when we don't see those numbers just shoot up. And the opposite is true too. It's not us that are making the numbers get bigger when they do. It's not us. We're not doing anything. We're just doing what God called us to do.
Yeah. So I would say that we, I came into an elders meeting one time. This was in Tullahoma, and I'm not saying that this is how these guys measured everything or that this is all that mattered to them, but this is kind of how their brains worked. I worked with a bunch of engineers there, and I came in from a retreat, and I said, "Oh man, I want to tell you about the retreat." And they were like, "Yeah, tell us how it went." And I said, "Oh, it was so great. It was moving. The kids, were singing," and they were like, "How many went?" And I told them the number, and how much did we spend? They're in their mind. They weren't saying that that's all that matters, but in their mind, they were kind of doing cost benefit analysis, like, what did it cost us? How much participation? Kind of what you had the conversation. Yeah. They didn't go as far to say you're doing a bad job if this number doesn't equal this number, right? But what I mean to say is, I think sometimes
you're not worth it. You're not worth it unless.
I think that we need to reevaluate our metrics for success at times. I think that in ministry we've put so much weight or credit in what the numbers look like instead of the heart of a teenager or the what the culture of our ministry looks like. And so I think reevaluating what is measurable, what kind of quantifiable data are we pulling from, and that's kind of hard to measure, right? Mm-hmm. Numbers are easy to look at attendance and go, okay, we're successful or we're failing. Recognizing the faithfulness of our students or the compassion or generosity in our group, that's a lot harder number to measure, but it's something that with time we can see a culture shift and see the measurement of growth in our group if we're paying attention to the right metrics.
Well, and I think we saw this firsthand. I know Michael's newer to the area, but he's been involved in this area for a long time. Jeremy and I have been here, pre-COVID, but I mean, you look at our area wides and the pre-COVID numbers we used to have. Now, there's a lot of things that changed between COVID and everything else. But, I mean, we really struggled for probably 2 years after COVID to even get close to those numbers of what they used to be. And that's something that's super easy for us to sit there, hang our heads, say, hey, you know what, we're just
getting rid of this. And we were all discouraged.
Yeah, and we were.
We absolutely, as we're telling this message, we were all discouraged by those numbers.
But it wasn't one of those things where like, no, we just need to get rid of this event completely because we're just failures on it. It's no, like, let's figure out what's going on. Let's figure out the situation. And that's something that as youth ministers, if you've been working since COVID, we've all had to figure out is how do we handle ministry post-COVID? How do we deal with all of this? All of us experience low numbers. All of us experience families leaving or not being as involved or whatever that might be. So what needs to happen? And then last night, I mean, we had a really good crowd at Madison for our area wide. We've had really good crowds pretty across the board this year
we've
for
had
our area wide. So like it's getting back to normal now. So it's easy for us to hang our heads and be discouraged, but then we also have to see the big picture of it's going to get back to normal.
Do you think that our area-wide theme is what's bringing the numbers?
I really don't think so.
Listen, all I'm saying is
come up with an idea.
We had less than 100 average last year.
And we went to the Battle Bus.
We started the Battle Bus as our theme.
Consistently 100, 150.
Consistently 150.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. maybe if we would start doing things that are geared toward kids instead of adults, then we would probably be a little more successful.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, that's what I have seen with, we just came back from Winterfest. I've told you before, I think they really understand who their target audience is, and they do their best to reach out to that audience, right? I think that's a big deal.
It's who the target audience and who they're actually wanting to reach out to. Because you've seen that with a lot of other, we'll say, youth rallies in the past, that they say that it's a youth rally, but they're not really targeting the youth. There's a lot of adults that show up, and it gets very adult heavy on the things that they're trying to do as well, and really who they're trying to please, and that really hurts in the long run too. But from the story, or from everything I've heard from Jeremy's experience at Winterfest, it was very much youth oriented. That was their purpose. That was their goal.
Yeah.
And I wanted to throw out that, Mark 4, God says the kingdom of heaven is like a man who goes out and scatters seed, and he goes to sleep, and he doesn't know when the seed starts growing, but he knows that it does.
Yeah.
That's the way that we need to be looking at our ministries. We are doing what we're supposed to do, right? We're going out, we're scattering seed, we watered it, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore. God's going to make the increase, And so as long as we're doing what we should be doing, then there should be growth.
You never know what seed is going to expand in what person, and that's such a cool thing too. I believe it was Dr. President Kurt Brothers tells a story. The current
Did
president,
you say Dr. President?
Dr. President,
yeah, the current president. But he was telling a story about, like, his granddad was the one that got his family into church, and in over generations, that's led to someone who's now teaching and the president of a Christian university. And you never know, who you're going to impact in your ministry, and you never know what impact they're going to have in someone else's ministry as well. So, like I mentioned earlier, giving 100% to every kid that shows up is a big deal, because you don't know what kind of impact they're going to make for the kingdom.
Yeah. And I wanted to share one more thing before we kind of go to the next segment. Philip Jenkins talks about this at Mount Juliet, and they had a big night thing on a Wednesday night for Mount Juliet, and he even wrote, like, the book, The Lunch Ladies. This is what he kind of started this whole thought. But he had this huge lesson planned out, and it was one of those, we've all been there, where we've spent a little extra time making this lesson, and we're really wanting to make it a big impact lesson, and we're going to do it. And he had all of that planned out. He had to get there early to set up, and he had it all done. And then he said he got there, and usually the class of 100 plus, and I think he said that they had like 8 kids, and 2 of them were visitors. And he was like, dude, I did all this. And so he said, you know what? I'm just going to go through with it. I'm going to go through with the class that I had planned. And through that, Christian Franz, Christian Franz, and Patrick Franz, who was my intern for 2 years when I was in Arkansas, they were the 2 visitors. Or at least Christian was. I know Christian was. I think the next week, Christian brought Patrick. And Christian was just like, yeah, somebody told me to come, so I came. And so so Philip still did the lesson, still did everything. And now I mentioned those 2 guys, and we both know them because they're both youth ministers, And so the impact that one class that he thought,
right,
there's only like 8 or 10 people here. 2 of them are kids that I don't even know. And like, he was just, but what if he didn't teach the class? What if he just kind of got discouraged with, well, it was whatever night. It was some kind of a youth leadership night or something, and they had all their kids doing things in other classes and stuff instead of being in his, and he just said, we'll just wait till next week to do this class.
Yeah.
You would have missed them.
Yeah, there's a good chance he would have missed those 2 guys. And there would be no 2 years of internships with me, with Patrick, who's one of the best youth ministers I know. Christian, who is a youth minister, and I mean, he's working in Knoxville now.
Yeah, he's at Carnes, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's doing a great job. I don't know him super well, but I know Patrick, and if he's anything like Patrick,
I think we were at Freed together for a little bit. He was in a different social club,
and so things like that, he was frustrated. He even said he was frustrated. In the book, he talks about how he was frustrated, but he still went through the class, and it turned into 2 guys becoming Christians. Their whole family becoming Christians. I actually met Patrick's dad and mom at a funeral that I'd gone to. And through those 2 guys are now spreading the gospel and serving churches as ministers because of that. Just incredible. I mean, it's just an incredible thing that's a real life, big, noticeable thing that we can just throw out there that just goes to show you that, he might have only had 8 kids in class, but because of that, how many more people are going to be in heaven?
Yeah. Well, and that's it. And now we're going to kind of shift a little bit. Healthier ways to measure this success in our youth ministry. One of those things are the depth of the students. What are they doing? Are students reading scripture? Are they praying outside of the group? Are they sharing their faith? Are they serving in any way possible? I do want to give a shout out to Jeremy's kids, but the Boys to Men group. They have Bible studies every single Saturday morning at Coleman. I believe it's supposed to be every single Saturday morning at Coleman.
When they can, kind of like we post a podcast every Wednesday.
When they can. But I mean, here's the thing too. They post the pictures of it. I mean, there's a lot of kids in that photo that I do not recognize. And I've asked some of the kids, hey, who's this guy? And they're like, oh, well, like he goes to our church. We hadn't seen him in a while, and he's coming to this. Like, oh, this is a friend that we invited, and he does this, and like they're getting a lot of reach in it too, and they're doing a great job with it. So we are very proud of the Boys to Men guys as well.
I mean, when your kids are doing things outside of the building and outside of your youth group things, that's where you know that there is some real faith changing things happening. I have for whatever reason, my students have been inviting their friends like crazy to our youth group things. I mean, every single Sunday and every Wednesday, we have 5 to 10 new faces that I have never met before. Awesome. And I mean, we've baptized, I don't know how many people this year that they had never been to church before or had been to church when they were younger and then had kind of just stopped coming. And I think this year, this past year, like 2025, I think we baptized like 8 kids that were just, they'd never come, and their friends just invited them. And now we've got one girl got baptized. The next year her sister got baptized. The next year now their brother has been asking about what baptism is. He's a little bit too young, but he's really excited about it. He's wanting to learn more, and he comes to almost every one of our services. And then it's just an incredible thing to see, because one person invited a friend and that friend came. Now their family is coming, and now they're interested in church and becoming Christians, and you just see this huge growth. But our kids are inviting kids like crazy, and
are you on track to mess up your budget again this year because of how much they're bringing friends?
I hope not.
That is the downside.
That was legitimately your problem last year. You had too many kids showing up that you weren't expecting, which is great. They're really ruining your budget every year.
I genuinely believe that we have enough in the budget this year. I hope I'm proven wrong. I really do.
You heard it here first, folks.
But I genuinely believe that we have enough in our budget.
We'll talk in October.
Yeah, we'll see what it looks like.
See how you're looking
right after Rush. See what our Rush numbers look like.
Then you double from one year to the next. So
I more than
doubled,
more than tripled.
That's nuts. Okay, so let me ask you this: what about like conversations and moments with students that you're having? One of the things, I've used an app called Men Hub Youth, which is
that's not an app anymore, is it?
It is.
Oh, you can still get it.
It's still a subscription thing. They've recently done updates to it. They've done a lot of updates over the years to it, but one of the things that is cool is something you can share with your adult leaders, and it'll cost you a subscription, for a year to use the thing. But what's interesting about it,
I have it downloaded. I thought it wouldn't an app anymore.
Yeah, what's interesting about it is that you can track attendance and all that, but there are there's like discipleship moments or ministry moments, I think is what it tracks it as, and you can keep track of ministry moments. Now, I think that's a data that's worth hanging on to, right? If I have a conversation with one of my students about something going on with his parents, maybe parents are going through divorce, and we have a conversation about that. I want to keep up with that data. I want to track those conversations. As not as much about his attendance or her attendance in Bible class or at those camps or events, as much as those ministry moments or opportunities that we've had. We prayed together over some situation or whatever. I want to keep track of that data. That's valuable information to have, especially to share with your other adults in your ministry.
Ask them about baptisms.
Yep.
So many kids ask about baptism, or parents come to you.
How many times has this kid talked to me about this?
Or your parents come to you and say, "Hey, my kid's starting to ask about baptism," and then you talk to the parent, or you give them a book or whatever that might be, and then you forget to follow up on it. And like, hey, like, do you need any help? Do you need any encouragement? Like, what's going on? How's that going? So it's an easy way to kind of jot things down and remember them.
Well, and let's say you've got a parent, you got a 6th or 7th grader that's coming to you and says, hey, what, my son's asked me about baptism, but we just don't know if he's ready. And you could be like, hey, here's the last 3 youth events where he came to me and we had a pretty in-depth conversation about baptism. Like this may be the first time he said it to you, but he's been talking with me or been talking with our deacons or whatever for quite some time about it. And we've had some conversation. That's kind of a moment where you can say he may be further along in this process than you realize.
Oh, yeah.
So I will say this, though, tracking attendance, not for the sake of knowing if our numbers are big or small, but tracking attendance for the individual student does matter. If I have a student who's consistently showing up at every event, and then all of a sudden they're gone for 3 weeks in a row, right? Something's wrong. Something's happened. Something's shifted. Something's changed in the home. Something's changed in a relationship in their life. Something's changed in their faith development in some way that has changed that attendance pattern. And we need to be aware of that kind of thing. That's a measurable data that matters.
That is something I track after, I think, 2 weeks after your second week of not being there, like Sundays and Wednesdays, or if they're someone that's like really there on a Wednesdays, I have a kid text them, or one of the kids in the youth group, they'll shoot them a text, hey, we've been missing you, we hope we see you. And then the third, if we don't see that next week, I'll text the parent and the kid and like, hey, just checking in, what's going on, hope y'all are doing okay. Whatever it might be. And they might be sick, they might be out of town, they might have been busy, whatever it might be. But it does allow the kid and the parent to know that you are thinking of them.
The app that I just mentioned, if someone's attendance lacks for 2 weeks, you can have it auto send all your deacons a list of the students that have missed 2 weeks, and then they can reach out to them. Just something to plug. Not a sponsor yet.
Not yet.
Probably won't be.
I did want to discuss, and another way that you can see successes is how does the church like you? Is the church, when you speak, do you feel like the church is engaged when you're up there speaking? Are you getting encouraging things? I got a message this morning from one of the ladies, grandparent of some of the kids in the youth group. She just sent me a text and just said, hey, I just want you to know you've been prayed for this morning. And that kind of stuff, it shows that you are appreciated, that you're loved, and good relationships with people, and having people send you messages. Having a parent say, hey, my daughter needs a new Bible. What kind of Bible do you recommend? What do y'all use in Bible class? That kind of stuff is stuff that you can see that there's growth happening. When somebody's needing a new Bible, that means their old Bible was worn out, and so that means that they have been studying, that they've been doing what you've been talking about them doing. So
that's a really sad thing too, because you hate to lose a good Bible because it's just so worn out.
Yeah.
I had an awesome moment last night at the area wide. I've got an NIV Bible that I've had for a long time, and one of the students was sitting there by me. It's one of our youth group girls, and she said something about, because my Bible, like, I fold it in half. I mean, it's very worn in, and she was like, why are you being so rough with that? I was like, oh, this one's been through it. And she was like, what? And I showed her, like, the binding is like falling apart, the pages are falling out. And she was like, how long have you had that? And I opened the thing where it says, presented to by, mine says presented to Jeremy Crow by Jeremy Crow, because I bought it myself. And it had like
2007.
It had our wedding date in there from 2011. She's like, you've had that since 2011? I said, no, that's when we got married. I said, I've had this since I think like 2002. She's like, it's so old. And I was like, yeah. She's like, but I can tell you look at it.
Is it that one?
Like,
the one
I can
Bible?
tell you've used it.
Your leather Bible?
Yeah, the black one.
Yeah.
It's wore out.
Oh, man.
It's in rough shape.
I remember you teaching me from that when I was
I've had it for a hot minute.
youth group.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They don't make, that was Holman and Broadman that produced it. The company doesn't exist now. So
Good.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we hope that this episode. No. We hope this episode has encouraged you. Just remember, it's not about the head count. God isn't measuring your worth by the head count of the teens that are there. But make sure that we're giving 100% to the teens that are there. Make sure we're always looking after them. Make sure we're always trying our best in our ministry. And we hope that your ministry is blessed.
Is blessed.
Thanks for joining us today in the important conversation of youth ministry. Go and follow us on Instagram and check out OkayestYouthMinistry.com for more information about our upcoming episodes. We'll be dropping a new episode every Wednesday morning, and we look forward to talking with you again next week. And hey, it's okay to be the Okayest Youth Minister around, but let's all strive to be just a little bit better.